so many people who are descendant of immigrants to the United States, right? This land that we call the United States, like do have that hustle mentality, right? This is the land of opportunity. You've got to take advantage of the hard work and the struggles that your parents went through to put you in this position. And it doesn't always leave us space for feelings. Right. No, just achieve. So we can take care of our family, right? And while we're like being physically, maybe monetarily being taken care of, like there are other aspects to us. And so I'm curious if there are like specific representations of that, like within like your upbringing that like you think are like nuanced or like just specific to you.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think that, being a member of the Carpenter class or cast, pardon me. So being a member of the Carpenter cast really outlined a space in which you had to continuously work for what you needed and what you wanted. And, it was very much so driven into me by my grandparents, right? By all the elders. Like it was very much something that you had to stay on top of. And I think in that, what I'm starting to realize was all the conversations that were missed because of that hustle grind mentality. And I fully acknowledge that previous generations before me didn't always have the space to have those conversations, let alone the language, right? And I think that's really where I become aware of my privilege in the sense of that I've been able to take the time and the space to learn that language, to learn how to kind of take that time with myself and kind of step back. But I mean, growing up, like, there's a lot of things I wanted to do, but didn't do because that was not encouraged, right, by the culture and the way that we were brought up. And so it's definitely been a struggle. And there's a lot of a disconnect, right? If I try to communicate with my folks like what I'm striving to do, there's still a lot of misunderstanding in that, misunderstanding in the concept of saying no, of resting, of just taking care of yourself and what that means and what that entails. And so there's been a disconnect, like almost I feel like my whole life. I've been trying to seek out what that can look like and what it can be different, but it wasn't what was modeled for me. And I honor and I like really appreciate and I'm so grateful for all the lessons that have been taught to me. And I also acknowledge that there's a lot more to learn and perhaps that focus on the grind and the hustle has left out, some important conversations to be had.
Right. So this wasn't something that you grew up having explicit conversations about with your parents. You noticed within yourself that like you were angry, things weren't sitting right. Where did you go? Where did you learn? Right. Because so many people are interested in learning these kinds of things about themselves. And of course, like your journey with this is going to be unique. But what were some of the things that you turned to? Who were the people that you got attached to learn from?
Yeah, it's a great question. And for me, I think the answer is easy. It's art, right? And I think art in its many forms and places and spaces. But so I was raised in LA, but I had to leave, right? I had to leave that space to find and carve out a space for myself. So now I live in the Bay Area of California, and it's a space where I've been able to seek out elders, seek out those practitioners, a lot of those that are more in tune with their ancestral practices, right? And with having these conversations, I give a lot of props to the Black women and Indigenous folks who have put me on. But, for me, all of that expression is in art. And like you kind of said, like we've been I've been having these conversations in my headphones for years, listening to the hip hop that brought me up, right? Listening to the R&B that kind of gave me that space to understand there could be more than what's in front of me. And so, art and the practitioners, the mentors that I've had has always provided me that space for radical imagination, right? Dreaming beyond the limitations that we have in front of us.